Okay, folks, a lot of you know me, some of you won't. I was born Edward Dale Lee in San Angelo, Texas. My mother is Gracie Lee. My dad is Willie Nelson. Alright, the day I was born, my daddy was there in the hospital while I was born. For 3 days behind that, Daddy was in our home. My dad, it's well known if you know his history, throughout his marriages, has had girlfriends. He's had the divorces. Okay, well, just moving on. Let's go into earlier years in the 80s during the highwaymen. My daddy would come over to my house in Dallas and we would play music. I never believed Willie Nelson was my dad. There was total non-support for information from my step family. They had their reasons. Okay. Now then, July 4th, 2010, I was playing an outdoor show in Stephenville, Texas, in front of the Tractor Supply. The Tractor Supply parking lot in Stephenville, Texas is probably one of the largest to be found in any Tractor Supply. There's many other stores in that same half block, whatever, square parking lot. July 4th, I filled up the parking lot. I filled up the gas station parking lots, the car lots across the road, and down the road for over 2.5 miles. I was pumping 9,000 watts for my guitar. I was pumping 12,000 watts for my vocals. 2.5 miles and on outside of the parking lot, people who are pulling over because others have, and again, they're stuck in traffic, people trying to park and come to the front and center stage. At this point, I have no idea Willie Nelson is actually, for truth, my dad. Like I said, I've never believed him from the earlier years. Okay. Tractor Supply broke with over 36,000 people in 2 hours or something to that effect. Might have been in the hour and a half. Anyways, they never had that many people come inside their store. Alright, they had their people with the forerunners clicking, counting, marking tires for how many people were in the parking lot, and I don't know how far down the road and across the road. I don't know those facts. But there was 8,700 people at 1 hour 40 minutes when they quit the count. Now, that's just me. There's no reference to Daddy there anywhere. Throughout my life, dating back to 1980, it is impossible for anybody to know this figure. It's never been publicized. George Strait can verify it. That in 1980, or whether it was 79, George Strait, in his contract, made $287,000 a year, 3% of his royalties. My Nashville offer at that time, which I did not do, was $387,000, 17% of my royalties. It's just simply a talent factor influencing this. Throughout the years, I have had my Nashville offers. Approximately 11 years ago, I had an injury. I went from a 28-29 waist, 194 pounds, to under 110. For many years since that, I've had physical afflictions I've had to deal with. I've been man enough for it. Now then, 2010, July 4th, 2.5 miles down the road, Ray Wiley Hubbard, you can Google him, Ray Wiley Hubbard, might know him from Snake Farm, was one of his hits at that time. His mom and dad-in-law were stuck in traffic 2.5 miles down the road. They had been with Daddy 3 days before. They told Daddy they would be in Stephenville, Texas, that weekend. They're listening to who they think is Willie Nelson. They pull up to the front entrance, and some of the young men are working there in the parking lot, and they said, "We're friends with Willie. Could you park us by the stage?" The boys run their four-wheelers, find a car pulling out, park them 5 or 6 car lengths back, but straight in front of the stage area. After they had their video equipment and their cigarettes lit, they stepped out of the car. They weren't looking at Willie Nelson. Addressing Lucas Autry Nelson. Lucas Autry Nelson is the son of my dad's wife, Annie D'Angelo Nelson, and Johnny Paycheck. Micah Nelson is the son of Mickey Raphael, his birth name is Michael. He's called Mickey after Mickey Mouse, a harmonica blowing Mickey Mouse. Raphael. Okay, neither of my dad's wives' children are Willie Nelson DNA. From day one of me being reunited with my father, my phone call came in November, the very end, it was after Thanksgiving of November 2010. In my contacting the Nelsons, I found out my mom had passed away 3 years before. I let Daddy's management, Daddy's people, they're called handlers in Daddy's organization, for his children, I let them know, my mom passed. I'm finding out about this, and I'm very thankful that I still saw her after I was taken from my family home till probably I was 4 years old. I saw her probably 3 times before I graduated, never knowing that's actually my mother that is there. Okay, so I found out my mom has passed away. I tell Daddy's people, Daddy's alive. We've got a lifetime. I need this to settle how it does over me and my mother. It took me about 10 weeks. Then I came back to be with my dad and for us to play music. By April, or whether it's May 2011, Daddy is disbanding Willie Nelson and Family. Unbeknownst to me of what a great issue for a tissue it is to Annie D'Angelo Nelson, Lucas Autry Nelson, Micah Nelson. I've already explained their circumstances in this. Annie D'Angelo Nelson let me know I would not take Lucas Autry Nelson off of the throne and as the heir to Willie Nelson. Again, Lucas Autry Nelson is Johnny Paycheck's son. He is 0 Willie Nelson DNA. For him to do his bad, as in horrific, imitation, it's worse than a drunk karaoke singer at a Wednesday night event. For him, behind Daddy finding his son, me and my dad, for the first time since I was 4 years old, being in that truly united form, relationship, Lucas Autry Nelson, somewhat within the first year of Annie, where Annie is driving wedges between me and Daddy. She's slick, her people are slick. They have fired people who defend me over Lucas. Annie is. My dad is 83 or 4 years old. Tonight, I really don't remember, don't care. He's fucking old. That's really all that matters. My daddy has never been the brightest bulb in any chandelier. My daddy is funny. My daddy is quibby. My daddy is smart in many ways. But he has the other ways that just aren't so bright. My daddy is old. Annie D'Angelo Nelson is close to 60 years old. Okay. She runs Daddy's business. She hires and fires whoever is around my dad. her sons are from affairs. There's 2 more children. Their DNA is in question. And in the, you might say, like the Nashville circles or music circles, and Daddy's employees, their DNA is questionable if they have any Willie Nelson DNA whatsoever. Okay. Now then, with Daddy having never paid a child, whether they're not his DNA or not, Daddy loves his children. They're in the house. Very good quality. Daddy, having highly marketed, well, of his many wives and this and that you still take care of them. Well, now let's listen to that. So that also applies to the children. All right, now let's take that as a foundation. You do this for your wives, you do this for your children. In 2011, it was publicly from the Nelson camp written that Lucas Autry Nelson has never been a talent, even if mediocre, and without Willie Nelson would have never had any form of a career. Now, the reason that public statement went out was in preparation for Daddy announcing, because Lucas was pissing his pants, crying, wiping his eyes on the inside of his mama's skirt. Okay. Oh, just another thing on Lucas Nelson. What man of any form in America, any other continent, would ever allow an article to go out, which is in print, to go out and say that laying on the bus, Annie D'Angelo Nelson, Lucas, his face in her lap. What a horrific picture. And her stroking his reddish blonde locks. Speaking of the love. The one thing, Lucas Nelson has jet black hair. Lucas Nelson has a jet black mustache. Lucas Nelson's receding forehead is way farther back than mine will ever get. 2 reasons. Genetics. Johnny Paycheck is his daddy. The other reason, coloring his hair. It has just burned it up down to the roots. Okay, I have photo file of Lucas Autry Nelson jumping up on stage, predominantly playing his air guitar. The very next day, he's on the beach with the same short black hair that when I encountered Lucas Nelson, he has. Receding forehead, black mustache. My mother is Cherokee Lakota Sioux. I can't grow my beard in on this side. I have to let those top hairs, what thin line that is, really grow and grow. At the day one, the Nelson people were saying, you need to grow your beard. You need to start tying a bandana around your head. I'm like, no, I really don't. I'll do whatever the hell I want to with my face. And I've never worn a bandana on my head yet. It stays on my neck. I've done it my entire life. Well, they said it's the Nelson thing. All the children do it. I just said, I'm too old for that shit. Besides, I'm not Willie Nelson. I'm Eddie Lee. Now then to Eddie Lee Nelson. Where that comes from, I performed through the years. I will carry different show names for kicks, for humor that it is to me. Alright, at the time they found me, I was performing as Skinny Cowboy. Throughout my life, I have had the nickname Rowdy. Daddy wanted to know, how the hell are we packaging you? What are we calling you? Because you've got previous endearments and lives prior to today. I said, well, Daddy, I'd rather take Mama's name for my middle name. You're my dad. Take Nelson for my last. Daddy started crying. That had never, in all their management people and throughout, they'd never come up with that. So Daddy said, we're going to have to video this, do a national interview, and explain, you are my boy, I have right to the name. And then we would do whatever it was, court processing, TV interviews, exposure on the situation. Now we have today Lucas Autry Nelson, the son of Johnny Paycheck, living off the Nelson name. Micah Nelson, Paula Nelson, Ray Lynn Nelson. I name all of these because all of these, what you would call to my face, and subversively, via people they can influence, people they can use, have used them to claim I am not the son of Willie Nelson, when those two girls, Paula and Ray Lynn, their DNA is in question. We're going to take care of that part very soon. Okay, now then, I would like to ask the public, in all these years of you watching this conflict, why have you never involved yourself? Do you think it's silly that a man that is just Willie Nelson's son? I never needed Willie Nelson for my music career. Once I found out and we reunited, that's when my career started to being destroyed by the non-Nelson DNA. So tonight, whether you could ever put that together or not, you got to ask yourself,